Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to an excited Wrestling Days because we are going to have a look at WrestleMania. We're going to have a look at some of the best WrestleMania attires of all time. What I've done is I've picked out 20 that have had figures made of them, and we are going to go through that list. These aren't in any specific order. I've tried to kind of put the ones I regard as the best more towards the end of the video so that we can kind of work our way towards the better ones. But all of these are absolutely epic, and they are honestly some of the best Mattel action figures as well. So with that being said, let's get started. Let's start with this. The game! Triple H at WrestleMania 31. The ring attire itself is quite plain. Triple H doesn't really get that adventurous. But that entrance, look at that, an epic Terminator-inspired entrance. You can see Elite 42 was made, and it comes with that entrance gear. Obviously, this is based on, I think it was Terminator Genesis that had come out at cinemas at the time. So they were like promoting that. Next up, Sasha Banks Wrestlemania 32. I believe this is a WrestleMania Elite figure that just came out. Not my favourite Sasha ring attire, but it's important because it's WrestleMania and it pays homage to one of the all-time greats, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero was a big inspiration to Sasha. So here you can see she wears long red tights with detail down the side, very similar to what Eddie Guerrero used to wear. Next, Rey Mysterio Wrestlemania 22. Look at this figure. This is from the Angle versus Orton versus Mysterio match. Rey is always adventurous with his big match attires, and he did not disappoint here with that epic Aztec-inspired headdress. This really has its roots in his Mexican heritage, and it looked absolutely incredible. Next, Ronda Rousey, WrestleMania 34. This might surprise a few people because there wasn't really much that special about it, but this was the first time we saw what Ronda would be wrestling in. This was the first time we saw her wrestling attire, and there was a few little surprises in there. She came out in a kilt. Wasn't expecting that. She still had the leather jacket. Of course, all of this oozes Rowdy Roddy Piper, her mentor, her inspiration. It all pays homage to him. So very much like what Sasha did with Eddie Guerrero, that's what Ronda was doing here with Rowdy Roddy Piper. Next, The Undertaker, WrestleMania 15. Honestly, this figure might have been higher on my list thinking about it because it is epic. That Ministry of Darkness era, such a fun era for the dead man. And this was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And then, I can't remember what the figure was, but it got pulled from the Defining Moments line. So they were going to release a Defining Moments. They had to change plans. They needed a figure that they could include last minute. So this ended up getting released as a Defining Moments. Originally, it was just going to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. But yeah, very, very cool. What a figure. Super detailed. Next, we've got Macho Man WrestleMania 4. This, again, might surprise a few people because it's not the most adventurous ring attire, but it is just so iconic. Like, real wrestling fans that have studied the history of wrestling will know this ring attire, will be aware of this ring attire. This is the Macho Man. When Mattel started making wrestling figures back in 2010, this is one of the first they came out with. This was in the Legends line. Like, there was no messing around from Mattel. They just went straight for this attire. So, very, very cool that we do have this as a figure. Sadly, it's not been available for many, many years. But still, very iconic. Next up, Jerry the King Lawler, Jerry Lawler, from WrestleMania 27. This was released in Elite Series 18. This was his one and only Mania match. He'd waited his whole life for this. He finally got to the grandest stage of them all, and he had an attire that really fitted the situation, really fitted the occasion. Absolutely stunning. It's dignified, it's detailed. Shame the match against Michael Cole was awful, but this is still fantastic ring attire. Next, the Ultimate Warrior WrestleMania 6. This, again, similar to the Macho Man, iconic. It's got, obviously, the face paint that you would expect, but the body paint, which he never wore. Like, I can't remember him having body paint other than this occasion. I'm sure he must have, but this was such a big occasion. This was the WWE Champion taking on the Intercontinental Champion in the main event of WrestleMania. I believe both titles were on the line. So Warrior came in ready for war, had the body paint on, had the face paint on, really bright, eye-catching orange trunks as well, and the boot coverings. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. Next up, Hulk Hogan WrestleMania 3. I know his ring attire wasn't really that special. It's kind of what he wore at all of the WrestleManias around that time and non-WrestleMania events. It's what he wore. It's basically his ring attire. But Mattel made this figure, this defining moment, based on that Andre the Giant match, that WrestleMania 3 main event. You get the Hogan 86 belt with it as well. And it's just brilliant. It is Hulkamania. And really, Hulkamania dominated the early WrestleManias. Hulk Hogan would headline WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, yes, you need this in your collection. Next up, the man they call Sting, the icon. Sting finally got his WrestleMania match. Of course, he'd stayed in WCW throughout the 90s. When WCW went under, he didn't join WWE. Instead, he went to TNA, and he worked with TNA for a long time. He finally came over to WWE, had that match against Triple H, which he definitely should not have lost. But it gave us this iconic ring attire, this iconic jacket. It just looks so cool. He'd kind of waited his whole life for this moment. It's just a real shame that WrestleMania 31 was in the sunshine. Kind of felt like it needed the darkness for this to have a bit more impact. But take nothing away from it. It was still iconic. So that brings us to the top 10. We've got Triple H, WrestleMania 30, the King of Kings. Here he is, Elite 35. You can see he's got Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte helping him out for his entrance. And this was crazy. This was so cool. As we said, King of Kings. They actually made a figure that came with that. I don't even know what it is. I want to say cloak. I'm going to go with cloak with like golden headdress. It's just awesome. Awesome. This was the match he had against Daniel Bryan as he tried to stop Daniel Bryan from winning the WWE Championship that year. Number 9, Seth Rollins, WrestleMania 33. This is the Kingslayer attire. This was in Elite 57. It's based on Seth's match against Triple H. All gold. It's got silver highlights in there as well. Comes with a flaming torch. They captured it all in figure form. A very, very striking figure. That brings us to number 8, Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 7. And I don't feel like this attire gets the love that it deserves because it is so detailed. It's amazing. They made a defining moments of this figure. And honestly, the jacket, the entrance jacket, it's got to be one of the most detailed items Mattel has ever made. You've got pictures of the Warrior, you've got pictures of the Macho Man, they're on his trunks, they're on the jacket, they're on his knee pads. I think the problem with this attire is it is so detailed, it's very difficult to actually appreciate it, because from a distance, I'm not sure if it pops, but when you actually study it close up, it is stunning. One of the best Mattel figures. Sticking with WrestleMania 7 at number 7, the Macho Man. This is from the exact same match. These two had two of the most iconic WrestleMania ring attires ever in the same match. Macho Man here, white and purple, less detailed, but more impactful. People remember this. It's got the tassels. It just looks fresh, but it looks cool. The defining moments of this figure is quite hard to find as well, similar to that Ultimate Warrior. So if you are able to recreate that match in figure form, count yourself lucky, because you have got two very rare figures. Next up, Triple H WrestleMania 22, and this is my favourite Triple H ring attire when it comes to WrestleMania. I just think this captures his character, because it's quite raw, rugged, but he's still the king as well, and I just really like it. It's quite barbaric. I think that's the word to use here. It feels barbaric. This was WrestleMania 22 from his match against John Cena, and you could get this in figure form as an entrance great. Number 5, Undertaker, WrestleMania 28. This came out as Elite Series 27, and look at this picture. You tell me that the Undertaker doesn't look absolutely terrifying there. I mean, imagine, like, you're about to face that thing, whatever that thing is. It just looks incredible. I'm not sure this figure gets the love that it deserves, because I just think there's been so many iconic figures, so many iconic WrestleMania entrance attires and things like that, that maybe this one gets lost. I'm not too sure, but look at that image. Look at that image. That's why it ranks so high on my list. Next up, WrestleMania 8, Macho Man. This is Elite 23, all in gold. It's got nice detail, but again, doesn't get lost. Really, the theme here is gold. Macho Man is going for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 8 against Ric Flair. And, wow, great match. This was really Macho Man's return to the big time. He hadn't been in the title picture for a while, and he'd gone through that retirement match at WrestleMania 7. He was back a year later, competing for the WWE Championship. You can see what it means to him, and he really showed that in his ring attire, that bright gold, beautiful detail. It's a stunning figure. It's great attire. And actually, I want to take a second to mention Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. This is another ring attire that maybe doesn't get the respect that it deserves. But this was also Shawn going for that WWE Championship. Usual Heartbreak Kid attire, but look at the hearts. The hearts have gold in them. He's going for what his heart desires. He wants that gold. He wants that championship. There's little messages just in that ring attire, which I just absolutely love. So I've put the Macho Man and Shawn Michaels together here because both of their ring attires are really screaming the same message. That brings us to number 3, Ric Flair, WrestleMania 24. And if you're gonna go out, you go out with Flair, because this was absolutely incredible. Look at that robe. We did get it as a defining moment. It's got to be one of the best robes that Ric Flair ever had. And then, of course, Charlotte at WrestleMania 32, 8 years later, she would wear something similar in homage to her father, standing on the grandest stage of them all. Charlotte was actually in the crowd at WrestleMania 24, watching her dad retire. How cool that all those years later, she could pay respect to him in that way by walking out as the Divas champion at WrestleMania 32. If you do want that Ric Flair, you need the defining moments. If you want that Charlotte Elite Series 54. That brings us to number 2. The Macho Man again. The Macho Man all over this list. There's certain wrestlers that just get it, and he got it. Macho Man WrestleMania 3, pink and yellow, iconic ring attire. But look at that cape. Look at that. So detailed. Lot of love for this figure. The defining moments is incredible. And it was out not that long ago, so you might still find it in certain stores. It is absolutely brilliant. Number 1 on the list, though, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25. You can see Mattel did make the figure of that. A lot of love for this. This was Shawn Michaels trying to show that he was as good as The Undertaker and trying to end the streak. It's my favourite ever WrestleMania match. What I love about this was, obviously, Undertaker always wears black, so Shawn wore white. You've got the light versus the darkness. You've got good versus evil. It was just an epic battle. One of the all-time great wrestling matches. And I really feel like they captured that in their ring attires. And that was largely thanks to Shawn Michaels and what you see here. Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. And hopefully, I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.